Welcome back to math. Today we're on module 3, lesson 8. Adding and subtracting fractions using a number line. Now, in the past, we've used things like this green square. This green square. On this side of the green square, I'm going to put a line, and what number would I have here? What number would I put here? I would put a 0. Why? Because we hadn't even started anything, right? So now that we have one square, what do you think is going to go here? What do you think is going to go here? 1. So we could say this is one whole, right? I like that. Now what if I added another square like that? Okay, what would go here? 2. Oops. So that would be 2, is that correct? Does everybody get that so far? Am I going too fast for anybody? No? Okay. And then I'll tell you what. Let me make one more. Let me put out one more of these. Okay. I hope you're drawing this. What do you think is going to go here? 3. Now we can represent that a couple of ways, right? I'm going to use my highlighter, and let's say my problem is 1 plus 1 plus 1. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Now, where would I first put my dot on the number line before I even start this problem? I could put it on the 0, right? Okay, so I'll put it on the 0. Now, for this one, where would it go? I'm going to move it to here, right? Because this 1 actually is right here, isn't it? Okay? So you can say, well, Mr. McGuire, do we have to put it on the 0? Not really. We could start there for our 1, right? Now, how would we show plus 1? How would we show plus 1? We're going to move this dot over to the 2. There's 1 plus 1, right? Here we are. 1 plus 1 is what? 2. That's why we have it right there on the 2. Have I lost anybody yet?
No.
No, it seems really easy, doesn't it? Okay, now have I finished my problem? No, what do I have to do still? I have to add one more. So then I move my line going over to what? To the next one, right? I added one more. So where's my dot now? It's on 3. So what's my answer? It's 3. You guys are aware of this for a long time now, haven't you? You guys have been used to 1 plus 1 plus 1 equals 3. You did that a lot of grades ago, huh? Quite a few grades ago. So let's take it up a few notches, a few grade levels, shall we?
Yeah.
Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of some of my dots and things. Now I'm going to change it slightly. What do we do now? When I say 1/2 plus 1/2, Is this an improper fraction or a mixed number? It's a mixed number. It's the reason why we call it a mixed number is that we have a whole number or a big number mixed with a fraction. That's why we call it a mixed number. It has a whole number and a fraction together. All right, so we have 1.5. Where would that be on our number line? Where would that be on our number line? Well, we know that this is what? One whole, right? We have one whole. What do we have to do to this guy here? We're going to have to cut him in half. So I could cut him in half, and let's pretend my scissors cut that guy in half. Okay? What would I put right here? I need to put a line on that line, right? A vertical line on my horizontal line, right? And I would have to put half like that. Is that okay? All right. So now, what I've said, and you know what I'm going to do? I think I'm going to change colors and see if that might make this a little bit easier. I'm going to go with blue. Okay, so what are we going to shade in for our 1.5? Well, we could take it and we could say this is all what? 1.5. So my color is red, right? And that's what this means, doesn't it? Are you with me? Well, how do we do the next part? How do I do the next part? Well, how do you want to do it? What do you want to do? 1.5. Where is that? What do you see up here? I see a, what's that? Yeah, I call this a 1, right? Don't you? And what's the rest of this guy? Right. So then I could say, okay, for my 1.5, I'm going to say here's my half, and then here's my whole, right? And that would be this number here, wouldn't it? Do you see that? So, how much do we have for 1.5 plus 1.5? Well, we have, and I could put this on my line, right? 1.5 is here, right? And then half, and then another 1. So my answer would be 3. Does everybody see that? Does everybody see that? Yeah. You see that this is the 1, this is the half, and we added it to the blue 1.5, right? So when we have 1.5 plus 1.5, we have how many squares? 1 squares, 2 squares, 3 whole squares. That's how we got the 3. And we can show that on a number line by going, we could have started like this. We could say, okay, I'm going to show it on my number line, and let me, should I use a different color? Yes. Let me use dark blue. So my what did I start with up here? What did I start with? 1.5, and I'm going to add 1.5, right? So there's a half, right? And then I added 1 more, and what's my answer going to be? 3, and that's where my dot's going to be. So I'm showing you on a number line that I had 1.5, that's right here, and then I added another 1.5, and that's how I got 3. Okay? Is that too much? Too hard? No. I hope not. So let me get rid of some of this stuff. And let me change my problem slightly, okay? All right, let's say I have 1 1/4 plus 3/4. Could we do that on our number line? What would we have to do to it? What do we have to do to it? We're going to have to cut everything up into fourths. How do we cut things up into fourths? Well, we cut it up into half, right? And then we cut our halves into halves. So here's our fourth line, right? So this would be 1/4 here, right? What would this one be? 2/4, also known as a half. And what would this be? 3/4. And then we have 1 whole, aka 4/4. And here again, when we draw it out, oh great. We draw our half, right? And then we cut our halves into half. So this would be what? A fourth. This would be 2/4, aka half. And this last one would be 3/4. And then the next one would be 2, or, wow, how many fourths would that be? 8/4, yeah. Okay, so what are we starting with? Where do we put our dot for 1 1/4? Where do we put our dot for 1 1/4? Well, we're going to go over 1, and we're going to go over how much more? 1/4, right? So we're going to put our dot here, and then we're going to add how many fourths? How many fourths are we going to add? 3 of them. So we go like this: 1, 2, 3. So what's our answer going to be? 2 wholes. Okay? Does that make sense? And this is the way that you would work with a number line. Number lines are just like what we've been doing with our fraction boxes, but we're just going to put a number line below it. Okay? Now that's adding, right? We're adding using a number line. I could switch it around, couldn't I? Right now. That would be simple. I'm going to leave my fourths up there, okay? I'm going to get rid of these lines up here. And I'm going to switch this around. Are you ready? What's 2 minus 1 1/4? Where do we start our dot?
2.
We put our dot on our 2, right? Which is where it is. And then how far do we go over?
2.
We go over how much?
1 and 1.
Well, this is where our mixed number comes in handy. We go over 1 whole, right? And then how much more? And 1/4, right? So we go 1/4, and that's where we put our dot. What's our answer? 3/4. Do you see how easy that is? Okay? All right, so go back over this. Keep practicing. I love math.